We are here interviewing Stevan Stratton at ABC Warehouse in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
For an awful lot of people that never explore the opportunity. There's a phenomenal opportunity for young women in the military. What they're offering, I mean, they paid for my college.
What kind of benefits do you get now?
Now, I really don't get any benefits that are military acquired. I belong to organizations still affiliated with the military, like the American Legion and things like this. But other than being a veteran and honorably discharged, I do receive some death benefits, but I'm not looking forward to those. So,
are there any Vietnam veterans like reunions?
There are. I think that's more, you're going to find that's going to be more Marine, Army type thing. They do a lot more of that than the Air Force does.
Is there any interesting stories that happen?
A lot of interesting stories, but I really can't tell you some of them. I mean,
some more appropriate, I guess.
Well, I was in for a little bit of a shock when they sent me up to Alaska. They basically dropped me off by helicopter, and I was with another 170 guys on the Yukon River, and they came and picked us up 12 months later. So we really didn't have, there was no TV, there was no radio, there was no roads. They had a little Indian village right on the outside the Yukon River, and that was a long year, and I found out, yes, it does stay light for 24 hours, and yes, it does stay dark for 24 hours.
Did you enjoy the traveling you did?
Yes. I've traveled a lot more after I got out, actually, than I did. I've been pretty much around the world.
Was it your first time on a helicopter?
When I was in, yeah. I've been on them since, but yeah, when I was in, that was the first time I was really on a helicopter.
How'd you feel? First time you got on?
First time I flew was when I went down to basic training. I'd never flown in my life before. I was 17 years old. And it was fine. I was excited. I mean, it was cool.
How do you feel about the war that America's in, like, currently?
I don't think we have a right to question it.
To question it?
The American people aren't privy to all the information that those that are in charge of making decisions are. So we voted to put those people in those positions, and I think if we don't accept for what they've come down with, I think then what did we vote for? Why did we put them there? So that's why a democracy is so important. You certainly have to trust the people that you put into public office to direct which way we should be headed.
Do you think, like, the average person should have, like, access to as much information as is going on, or?
No, I think there's a reason that we aren't, there isn't full exposure. I think that if the American people knew everything that was going on, they'd be scared to death. And the government realizes that too. That's why we don't have it.
How did you feel about, like, the media involvement in the war?
Well,
like, particularly Vietnam and, like, the picture they painted of it.
They actually dramatized Vietnam much more than what we do now for, say, for example, Afghanistan or Iraq. In somewhat of a negative way. We would, when I grew up, even in high school, it was nothing to watch the evening news, and there was a daily body count. I mean, it's how many we did on this raid, how many Vietnamese we figure we killed. You'd constantly be seeing people in shootouts with their M16s and shooting back. I mean, that was on a daily basis. We don't see that kind of coverage now that we used to see back then. And of course, we had the draft back then. Young people now don't realize really what the draft is because it hasn't been implemented now since about 1976, I think, or 75 something.
What do you think about the after effects after the Vietnam War, of how Vietnam was doing?
Well, no, they didn't allow us to finish it. You'll talk to any Vietnam vet, and most of them they're calling it a draw, so to speak. if anything, I think they made a big mistake by not letting the people that were in charge of Vietnam at that time going in and getting the job done. And they didn't. And that again is the American people. I think there was in that area. I think there were an awful lot of lives that were lost, and to say that we abandoned the country, which is what we did, we just all of a sudden decided we were pulling out, and we pulled out, and we gave them the rest of the country. I mean, what did they really die for? I feel we basically, in my mind, we lost them, where we could have easily won. Now then again, I'm not privy to all the information. I don't know what would have happened had we done this or that. And I'm sure there's a reason for everything. But yeah, I think you'll find most Vietnam vets are going to say that. Now my brother was in Vietnam, and he was wounded. Right now, my son-in-law is in the Army. He's a sergeant in the Army, and he's been to Iraq twice. My daughter is with him, and I have 3 grandchildren with him. They're stationed down in Kentucky right now, but he's going to Afghanistan this fall.
The part of record stuff. How did you get into the Army? Or like
Air
service?
Force.
Air Force.
I joined.
Enlisted? And what was your training like?
Pardon me?
Your training, what was it like?
I went through a lot of training. Basic training, of course. Then I went to tech school for special services. I was crew chief on a rescue team.
And where were you like sent out to?
I was in Texas, Illinois, North Dakota, Alaska, Washington. That about covers it.
And what were like your specifications? Like what did you do on a daily basis?
Rescue.
Rescue?
What made you decide to enlist?
Vietnam was one. That's you'll find that a lot of military people, especially those that join, that's part of our family. It's all of our responsibility to serve the country. My brothers both did, I did, my father, both his brothers. That's just what we do.
What was your most memorable experience?
I guess flying around Alaska in a helicopter probably sticks with me more than anything else.
Did you enjoy your service?
Sure.
What lessons did you learn about your service?
Just how to grow up.
How long were you there for?
4 years. Joined when I was 17 and I got out when I was 21.
Did you make any close friends? And do you still like keep in contact with any of them?
What were your everyday type of experiences like? Daily tasks?
What I would do is anytime there was an emergency involving an aircraft, if an aircraft was coming in with any engine failure, smoke, anything, my job, my entire job, and I had a crew of 3 people under me, all our job was to get the pilot out alive. That's what we did.
Is there any stories you can share with us? Appropriate ones?
No, I lived through them all.
Were you ever scared? Like when
Sure.
you were serving? Did you ever regret your service?
Sure. When I was in, I mean, you're homesick. I mean, that's what you do.
What did you do in your downtime?
I played a lot of pool, worked out at the gym, just ordinary stuff.
Did anything you
Looked for
learned?
girls. Did that. I was single then.
Did anything you learned during your service help you, like, as an adult, like, past it?
the military will make you grow. That's basically what it is. I think it'd be good for every young man to do. I think it ought to be mandatory when they're 18. They go serve a minimum 2 years.
They do that in other countries.
Yes, they do. In a lot of European countries, it's mandatory. Israel, you're in the military from the time you're 18, and if you're a man, you're in the military from 18 until you're 52. And if you're a woman, you're in the military automatically from the time you're 18 until you're 45.
What would you want today's kids to like learn about Vietnam? What do you want them to like get about it?
Why we were there.
What was the food like? Like there?
Air Force food was good.
Is it like any of like the TV shows? Is it anything like that, or do they just like Hollywood it up?
To a degree, yeah. The Air Force and the Navy are known to have the best food. Army and Marines, their food kind of sucks, but yeah. Air Force, Navy, we had good food.
Was it hard for you to adjust to like normal life after you got back from Vietnam?
When I got discharged, you mean? No. No, I couldn't wait. I wanted to get home. I was married then.
Yeah. Did you have any like nightmares or like when you came back about the war?
No.
How did you stay in touch with your family back home?
Back then, you know what a letter is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you girls knew what that was. I didn't. Letters are kind of a thing of the past. That's what we did. We wrote letters.
How long did it take from like a letter you sent to reach where you sent it?
Depends on where I sent it from. See, back during Vietnam, we didn't have to use postage. See, when we were in the military, all your mail was done free. So we could just mail it on base, and it would automatically be sent out. We didn't have to use postage, and almost everything went airmail. So, usually very quickly.
Is there anybody else in your family serve?
Everywhere.
Oh, it's like a tradition?
Where would you stay at every like
Where would I
in
stay?
Vietnam? Like
I wasn't in Vietnam.
Did you guys have to be on like a base? Is that where you slept? Is that...
Yeah, I mean, you see, Vietnam was obviously the Asian war that was going on back then at that time. I never served time, although the aircraft that I protected flew back and forth to Vietnam.
where did it fly from?
B-52s. That's our long-range bomber. They could fly out of anywhere and reach Vietnam.
What kind of helicopters were used?
There was a number of different ones. An H-7 was what was referred to as the most common type troop carrier. Carried about 8 people.
How many routes would you make a day?
Pardon me?
Like how many times would you go to Vietnam and back?
No, I didn't go to Vietnam and back. I mean, I was there when they landed at a field. Vietnam was a different operation. I was in during Vietnam, but I wasn't there in Vietnam.
Okay.
How many hours a day did you work?
I worked a 24-hour shift on and a 24-hour shift off. But I wasn't obviously on working the whole 24 hours. I mean, I just worked a normal 8 to 10 hour day, and I was there in the fire station. We had to do work out of the fire station.
How many people were working with you?
With me, 40.
What did you do when you came back? Did you take time off?
Finished college. Went to work. Started a family.
How did your experiences contribute to your thinking about war and military service?
How did it influence my thinking?
Yeah.
Well, you see, the military really, when you're in the military, you aren't in a position to judge why, okay? You're there to do as you're told. and you count on the people above you to make the right decisions, and so you just follow orders. Unfortunately, war is something that I'd hate to say, but I don't think we're ever going to be away from, because that's just the nature of people. They can't get along. In an ideal world, they could, but they can't.
Do you agree with America going to Vietnam?
Definitely.
For what reasons?
For what reason? See, a lot of people don't realize just the complete state that Vietnam was in. Now, the reason we got there initially, we were just supposed to be training the people to take care of themselves. But the overall threat of communism at that time towards taking over and expanding, it's not that they would have stopped there. If they had taken over Vietnam and we had let them overrun that, what would be next? And that's the reason for most wars, is you have to stop them where they are so that they don't get bigger.
Where were you living before you enlisted? Like before you moved here in Michigan?
Did any of your friends go along into the military?
Not with me, but several of my friends were in, yes. I was the only one that went in the Air Force. I had several go in the Marines and the Army. I was the only one in the Air Force.
Did your family influence you to go into the
Made the
military?
decision completely on my own.
What were the attitudes like of like the regular civilians here when the war ended?
They did not like the Vietnam War. We were treated horribly. There were cases of people that I served with during Vietnam that were spit at airports. Things were thrown at them. We'd be called baby killers, and that's just if you wore a uniform. But it was a completely different age then. The free love, the hippie generation took over, and it's make love not war, and there was a lot of different things as far as the world back then compared to the world now. That's why our troops that are coming home now aren't treated like that.
Did you ever wear your uniform around? Or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, it was mandatory. We had to, whenever we traveled, airplane, anything like this, we would have to be in uniform. Now, once I got home, no, I was on leave, I'd wear civilian clothes. And when I was off duty on base, I'd wear civilian clothes.
Did anyone disrespect you at the time when you came back?
Disrespect me personally?
Yeah, for going?
Yeah. Back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, again, society, we were the make peace society, and that's the way it was supposed to have been back then. And so anybody that served in a military capacity, you had an awful lot of people that looked down upon them. That's where we get back again to the baby killer situation and this kind of thing. When actually those guys that were over there, men and women, they were doing nothing but following orders.
What would you like to say to those people, the protesters, if you were like given the chance to like speak to them all?
They had no right to do it. They didn't know anything about it.
Were there any women in the service you were working in? Do you know approximately how many?
The Air Force is called WAFs. We had, I'd say about 10% of the Air Force is women. Now today it's probably higher than that. We had separate barracks, things like this. No, they don't anymore though. They have unisex barracks now. They would have never got away with it.
What were your first days of service like?
Boot camp. First time I had really ever been away from home. I was homesick, scared, nervous. You got a sergeant yelling at you in your ear, and you don't know what to really expect. You get used to it.
Did your parents sign for you?
Didn't have to.
How was it working with a lot of other people that you didn't know?
I enjoy it. See, in the military, you're exposed to people from every area of society. Those that had money, those that didn't, people of every color, of every nationality, every ethnic persuasion.
Was there any
religious beliefs.
discrimination?
Oh yeah, but not as much as out in the public. There was less discrimination in the military than there is in civilian life.
Was there that sense of like brotherhood with everyone?
Definitely.
Was it hard to adjust to everyday life there?
You as a person will adjust to your environment, and there may be some uncomfortable times, but you get used to things.
If you could do it over again, would you pick a different branch or
No.
a different job? You enjoyed what you did?
Would you recommend this to your children?
Definitely. One have already did. One was in the Air Force. He's already out.
Where to?
Pardon me?
In the Air Force?
My youngest son was in the Air Force. He served his time. He's out now. He's a junior at Grand Valley University.
Does any of the skills you learned in your job in the service apply to what you do now?
Every day?
Just, I guess I'd have to digress and go back and say that again, the things that you learn, I went in, I mean, it's been said and it's kind of a cliche, but I went in as a boy and I came home man. That's what it was.
Okay, so you're